Blessed be y'all, this is Jen Fremont. I'm sitting out here under the tree. It's probably according to the weather anyway, it's going to be the last nice day that we're going to have for a while because it's going to get cold. Because winter's going to set in here soon. So I'm enjoying the day outside under this, I can't think of what kind of tree this is, but it's a huge tree. A large tree. I'll think of it in a minute. But anyway, I'm going to talk about books today. And books people are afraid of, books people ought to read, books probably that people don't know about. Let's see. First one I'm going to start with here. This is The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And it's a nice little book that you can probably read in an afternoon if you so desire. But it's also one of those books, it's kind of like the other Eastern philosophy books in that, it kind of bends your mind after you've read a little bit of it. And, you got to put it down and kind of absorb it a little bit. And the reason I suggest this is because so much of what goes on in the world is based on this. Because this is something that not only people in the military, but people in power in general study. They study this stuff and they live by it. And if you know what the stuff is, you can see how things work. Another one in that same vein is The Prince by Machiavelli. And so many people use the term that's Machiavellian. They've never even read the book. They don't know what's in it. My synopsis of the book is that you've got to balance between love and fear if you're going to be a good leader. Because if people love you too much, they're going to take advantage of you. And if people fear you too much, they're probably going to overthrow you. So, you got to do that. But this, look at the way it's even set out here. It's got your little bookmark in there so you can do this. You can read a little bit at a time. And it is something else that it's the Bible for people that want to be in politics. They will study this book and study this book. And, it's been around for a few hundred years. I forget when this was originally published. 16-something, I believe. I don't know if it says in here. It probably only says the modern date of this edition. But yeah, I don't see. But I think it was 16-something when this was published. This is kind of an obscure book that most people would not even know exist. This was written in 1798. It's called Proofs of Conspiracy. And it's probably the original conspiracy stuff that came out about the Masons. And this guy is talking about how he saw Masonry change and get hijacked in his lifetime. Especially the American branch. Well, he saw the changes in the American branch and then went over to Europe and saw the changes that they had in Europe. And he decided to write about it because he did not like what was going on because they were taking a totally different direction and turning it into a boys' club for business purposes, much more so than it had been in the past. It always was, but there was also the mystical side to it, and he saw that the mystical side was being sold, basically. If you had the money, you got the degree, and then you got the contracts for things and stuff like that. So you could pick this up real cheap. I mean, you can get this on Amazon for $2 or something. You might even get it for a penny and then pay $3 shipping, and you know, and you might even find it in a used bookstore. I would urge you to get the older edition too, because who knows how they change things over time. But this one, I think this one was printed in 1960 something, if I remember correctly. Yeah, this one was printed in 1967. And you will also notice when you read this, it's not easy reading because the language is much more eloquent and much more complicated than what we read today. I mean, you read a paper today and it's like a Dick and Jane book, and I find it painful to read that sort of thing. I like this because it was eloquent and it made you think, and you know, you have large sentence construction and the language is just so much better, so much more, like I said, eloquent and intellectual. It packs a lot more stuff into it because of the way it's written, and that in and of itself, even if whether you believe any of this stuff or not, I'm not telling you to go believe anything. I never tell you to go believe anything. Like I said, beliefs are tools. There should be tools and not luggage that you carry around with you. So, take a look at that. This is something that people are scared to death of. And I can't say that I wasn't at one time, and I never would have touched it. That would be the Satanic Bible. And once I got over my fear and actually picked up the book and read it, I was like, you know, this is not anything. This is not about sacrificing babies. It's not about, you know, having orgies and stuff like that. It's about breaking down the programming that you have been indoctrinated with since birth. The programming that your parents were given and their parents were given before them. And there's an interesting thing in here, and I don't have it bookmarked or anything, but it goes something like this. You know you're in real trouble when your children come home with a Satanic Bible in one hand and the Ballad of Bald Mountain in the other. Because he's a very big fan of classical music, and classical music being something that opens your mind to other things rather than the popular music. And I would encourage you to pick up a copy. Like I said, whether it means anything to you or not, the fact that you can get over the fear of what's in it and actually go and read it for yourself and not just take at face value what people say it's about, it does something to you. It makes you, it frees your mind. It really does. And the last one I'm going to talk about is the Book of the Law by Aleister Crowley. And this was another one that, you know, years ago I would have been scared to pick it up. Even when I started doing magic, I was scared to pick this up and actually read it. And so I feel like I came a long way just being able to open this book up and read it. a lot of it is not stuff that you're going to understand, really, uh, just easily intellectually. He doesn't spoon feed you anything in this. And I see that it's written from a different level, too. If this really is writing that was done, you know, automatic writing with a spirit from a different reality doing the writing, they have a different view of the world. And so the way they put things, the way they think is not what most people think in this 3D reality. So therefore, just by that fact, you're going to have different things that you know we have a hard time with. And I can't say I was really scared by this book when I read it, but it did take a bit for me to be able to say, okay, yeah, I am going to actually read this book. So I got some more books in the future. I'll do a thing on them, but no, for now, there's some things that you can think about, and think about the books that you have been told all your life are evil, they're bad, they're rubbish. A lot of times they'll just say, "Oh, that guy's totally rubbish." They don't think anything of it because they want to discourage you from actually looking at it, because it probably has something in there that is going to make you think. It's going to make you think in a different way, and that's dangerous to the status quo. They don't want you to think in a different way. So anyway, this is Jen Fremont. Blessed be y'all.